Good evening, everyone. I hope you're all having a great week. So this is my first video, and I hope the recording comes out properly. So hopefully, I would love to get feedback from everyone. Audio, any criticism you may have. My voice is not clear. My accent is too thick. Whatever it is, feel free to provide feedback so I can make hopefully better videos. So we're learning HTML and CSS, and one of the tools you'll be using as a web developer will be Visual Studio. Now, for me personally, I know I mentioned yesterday I use Visual Studio Code. I used to use Visual Studio, and I use something called Visual Codium. It's basically the same thing. They are not too different, but Visual Studio Code is owned by Microsoft. So Visual Studio Code is basically the software created by Microsoft. Now, Visual Codium is based off Visual Studio Code, so it's similar, but it's not used by Microsoft. So someone took Microsoft's code and then designed their own. So it's similar to Visual Studio, and I just prefer it because it's called open source. Open source is when you make the code of it, so anyone else can use it for their purposes. So just because I use it, there's no difference between Visual Studio Code and Codium, Visual Studio Codium. So use the Visual Studio Code, but you won't see any difference. You won't notice much difference in what I will show you. All right, so most important thing you should know is or one of the first things you should know when you're working on projects is the first thing you should have is a project. You create a directory folder. For example, I want to create a project, or I've already designed a project called Insect Swatter. I designed this project using HTML, CSS, and JavaScript. Right? I'll talk about what JavaScript is through the project. I will open the project in Visual Studio, show you how to navigate around Visual Studio, and then hopefully start working projects quickly and smartly. Alright, so my project name, this is my directory name is my project. So you see Insect Swatter, right? I double click it. If I open the folder, you see all the files that are part of my project. So you see the first one is called index, and type of the folder is Firefox HTML. This is my HTML document, and this is my main CSS file and my main JavaScript file. So in web development, you have three languages. You have HTML, you have CSS, and you have JavaScript. So usually how I describe this is, think of all the content on your page. When you look at the web pages, you're seeing pictures, you're seeing text, you're seeing videos, or whatever you're seeing, right? They only appear on that page because it's the HTML that makes those pages or those text or those characters or whatever you see appear. That HTML, you use HTML to basically organize the content of your web, right? So HTML, if take for example you write a letter, be part of your letter that will probably be your address, another part of your letter that will be the person's address you're writing to, then there'll be a heading, and then the main body, and then a greeting at the end, signature, right? So think of HTML through a document, and it identifies each part or each section document. Does through what we call elements. And when we start working, start building it in Visual Studio, show you HTML looks like. The second one is called a cascading style sheet document, and that is called CSS for short. That will basically, it handles or basically designs your page. So if you, for example, if you see a page, the video on the right and text on the left, a very colorful button, that's all done using CSS. So usually I describe CSS as a design language. It's used to make your pages look better. JavaScript is actually one of the more is a programming language of the web. HTML and CSS. Think of HTML and CSS. They make HTML makes the page, and then CSS designs the page. JavaScript makes that page alive. You can use programs. Programs are basically you do something and something happens, right? Click like on Facebook, and someone your friend sees a message on the screen that you have liked this particular post. That's all JavaScript. JavaScript is it gives it gives life to a program, makes it able to react, create, do things, respond to touch, respond to different things that you do. So look at this more in depth as time goes on. So how do I open this folder in Visual Studio or like I would say Visual Studio Code? Alright, so I'll open Visual Studio Code, right? And because I was working on this previously, it's already here. So let me just do it like it's fresh. So you can go to File. If you open Visual Studio Code for the first time, you probably see the welcome screen on your page. I wish I had recorded this video earlier. But in case anybody has problems, just go to File and then Open Folder. And then that's where I'll see my project. So I'll just navigate to my project folder and on Folder and then click on Select Folder. And basically, this is the screen you get. So I want to take you through a rundown of the as an update. I want to take you through a rundown of the screen, and then after this, we'll design and make our own projects on our systems, our personal systems. So the first part of Visual Studio Code is I usually get used to is I usually like talking about is the user interface. Because I'm sure right now you're probably confused. What am I looking at? What is this? Why is the screen this way? So let's just take it step by step. I'll think of the screen as a big rectangle, and different parts of the screen have been sectioned to do different things. So at the top, you see this top side, you have what they call the menu bar. You can do things about your files, editing the files you're working on, making selection in files, the view, different kinds of view and other options, go, run, terminal, and help. Help if you're looking for documentation, want to know how to use this software better. It's good to, as a software developer or web developer, to learn how to read documentations about different software. Who designed this software? They take their time to. It's like a love manual. The documentation is like a love. Is like a love letter. Not say love manual. It's like a love letter to you, saying this is my software and this is how it should work. So if you put in some time to actually read software, read documentation, you actually learn a lot and use the software like you're a magician. Anyways, that was by the way. On the left side of the screen, you see 5 buttons. The first part is called the first one that looks like a page on top of something is the Explorer. So if you click on that to open on the right side of that bar, you see the sidebar. So that sidebar, I can extend it by here. I have so this is the Explorer. If I click it, it toggles on and off, right? So that sidebar, when it comes up, you see at the top in white bold text the project name. That's the name of the folder I open, which is Insect Swatter. Under it, you see all the files that are directly in that folder. So you see the index.html, which is the HTML file, main.css, which is the CSS file, and main.js, which is the JavaScript file. So each of these files has different. HTML has its own. Think of each language as different. Like different natural languages. You have the query, you have and all that. So each language has its own way of expressing stuff. Each language has its own symbols. Each language has its own way of, let's say, describing things. So for each language, you have to learn how they work. What is their vocabulary? How can you use them to make sentences and do stuff on the system? So HTML. All right. So okay. So beside this text water, you can see 4 other buttons. There's you can use this to create a new file. So I can say maybe contact.html, which is an empty. See how it creates a new page that is empty. If I go back to my folder, main folder, you see contact has already been created. So this is a file. So your code editor can create files. You can do that using this side. You can create folders too. So I can say I can create a folder for maybe images. I want to use images. This folder will contain just that I might use on the website. I can also decide to, sorry. So if you're selecting an image and you click on the new folder, create a folder inside that folder. You want that folder to be in the same folder structure. You come back to the project and then you click on folder. So I might say scripts, for example, but I usually don't put my scripts here. I try to keep them in a separate folder. So say that additionally you want to move, I can drag and drop and move that file into scripts. If I click on this arrow beside it, I just show, I don't need to see what is inside it. Just show me that it's script. Now I want to see what's inside it. I don't want to see what's inside it. So go back to the main, I see images script. That's it. Still, you're just like working on Windows Explorer. You can create files, you can delete folders. If I click on the folder, see all the options there. You can rename them and do other stuff with them. Alright, so on the right side is the main area of our workshop. This is where we do all our typing and editing and correcting and everything. But I have four files open. Let's open each of those files in a different tab. See four tabs. If you have a small screen, you can hide this area of the screen. Just click on Explorer. You can also use Control B. So 1 second. Control B, I think, yeah. Control B also works. Now it's just. So if you click on that, you can hide the sidebar here, so you have more space on this right hand side. So this is the code for my JavaScript file. Now I'll show you a preview of the project so you see what all this stuff does. Don't let this confuse you. It took me time for me. Like, at the time I used to open this and I was scared, but now with time and experience, I have an idea of what's going on here since I did it. Main.css. This is our main.css. Actually, this is from a project I'm working on, an online course that I'm following, trying to improve my JavaScript and front-end design skills. Then this is our contact.html page that we open and the index.html page. So let's look, because we'll be looking at the HTML first. Let's look at this page. See the line numbers on your site. Can you see those 1, 2, 3, 4? Yeah, those are line numbers. So this is very important in programming. Programming is like a poem. It has different, think of it like a poem. It has different lines. Each line is doing something, right? So on the first line, you have the doc type HTML. Remember when we saw this when we looked at the other web page? Go to any web page in your browser. Click on view page source. You see this at the top. Every HTML page has that doc type. That's what identifies that is a document. It's a web document. Next, we have the HTML tag. See all this left arrow, greater than arrow, and right? Is it greater than and less than? Yeah, less than and greater than arrows. All these tags in HTML. This is the HTML tag. There's an opening tag here, and if you go to the end, there's a closing tag. So everything, see this arrow, if I click on it, to see everything within this code lives inside these two tags. If this is confusing, we'll take this slowly next class. I just want to show you a preview of what we'll be going through, so don't get confused yet. You also have every HTML page has two parts. Inside the HTML tag, you have a head, which is this part, and you see the opening tag and the closing tag. It has head, the left arrow, head, and the right, and then it has the left and the forward slash and the head. So that's the opening, and the one with the slash is the closing. If I look at, if you click on this, you see it closes head, and if you click here, you see body. So body. So head and body live inside the HTML. You have the head section of your HTML page, and you have the body section. So what's in the head section? Let's look at the head section first. Head section usually contains some specific information about browser, what the browser should do, maybe some CSS. Can you see my CSS here? This particular line says, okay, this HTML page is linked to this page. Get the designs from this page. Whatever instructions you see here on this page, on this, sorry, whatever instructions you see in this file, use it to design it. So the HTML page tells the browser, look, use the main.css page to design me, to make me look beautiful. All right. Then you have the title, which is catch the insect. So every time you open, when I open my, let's open this. To open, if I want to open this file, I'll just go to my folder and click on index.html. That should open it in my browser. Can you see? Catch the insect, play game. I'm not done yet, so I don't know if it will work properly. Hey, look, here it is. Alright, next class I'll show a proper design. Alright, so this is catch the insect. If you look at this top at this bar here, can you see catch the insect? So that's the title. If I go back to my code editor and change this, let's say, how do I do this now? Alright, so let's say catch the president. No, catch the president. Alright, so if we say catch the president and then we go back to that page and then we refresh it. Notice that we've made changes, right? So you need to, every time you make change in your HTML page, you have to refresh your browser to see the new update. And if you look at the top, you can see catch the president. So that's one thing you can learn today. You can change the title of a page just by editing that line inside here, this title and title. So notice how everything looks. By now you should be noticing a pattern. Some tags just have an opening tag, they don't have anything else. It's just that tag. There's a meta tag, and you see different meta tags, and then you see the link tag doesn't have a closing too, but this title has a closing. So there are different kinds of tags, and you learn that when we start talking about HTML prop. Let's close this head for now and look at the body. So this body defines my page actually. Everything you're going to see that app is all defined here. To see some pictures, slides, and all those things. It might look a bit confusing for now, but this is the basic structure of my page. I'm going to work on my app a bit so I can show a better preview. I don't know whether I messed up the code, because if not, you would have seen, usually you see this, when I click on that play game button, it should come up. So I'll do an edit and make this video and prove it. So this is my file. I can go up, down, look through the file. Another part to look at is this right hand side. It's like a mini view. If you click on it and drag, you can go through. So this maybe if you have, when you become a professional and start writing 1,000 line codes or 2,000 lines, that's not actually necessary. But when you start writing really long lines of code, then I actually find this more useful for going through here. Okay, so that's the basics for now. With time, you will get to learn more about Visual Studio and how to use it as a web. All right, that's all.